Hi everyone, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. My name is Osereme, and in today's video we're going to be making this beautiful skirt. It's a simple pencil skirt with handmade circular fringe. So if this is something you're interested in learning how to make, you definitely want to keep on watching. And if you're still yet to subscribe to my channel, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button and let us get started with today's tutorial.
Dreaming, I must be dreaming.
Alright guys, to make this tutorial to sew this type of a skirt, you will need about 3 yards of fabric. That's because you will need a lot of fabric to create the fringe under the skirt. And also you'll be needing a matching lining. I know mine doesn't match, but we're going to just make do with what I have here. So now we're going to go ahead and cut out our skirt. The upper part of the skirt is going to be a mini skirt, so it's going to be very short. So I'm going to go ahead now and first fold my fabric into two, and then I'm going to fold it again. You'll notice that this second fold did not get all the way to the edge of the fabric. That is for a reason. So when you're folding yours, make sure that it looks like this, because I want to cut the front and the back together. When you're making a skirt, the biggest part of your body for a skirt is your hip measurement. So for you to determine how much fabric you need to fold, to check if this fold that I have here is going to be enough to give me this skirt measurement, I'm going to divide my hip measurement by 4 and then add extra 2 inches to it. So my hip measurement divided by 4 is 9, plus 2 is 11. So the fabric that I have folded here is going to be just enough for me to get this skirt. So now the reason why I did not fold my fabric into 2 exactly is because this space here is going to be the zipper allowance for the back. So we are cutting the front and the back together, so please take note. So once you're done folding everything and everything that you have is going to be perfectly enough, just go ahead and iron it in place so that it doesn't move. So first I'm going to go ahead and cut off the border that I have at this top here, because this is where I want to take my waist measurement from. Now my waist is going to be having a band, and I want the band to be about 1 inch wide. So I'm going to extend my tape by that 1 inch before I start taking any of my measurements. So as you can see on the waist, I extended my tape by 1 inch, and I'm going to measure down to my waist to hip measurement, which is at 8 inches, and I'm going to draw a line across. Next, I'm going to take the measurement I want the upper part of the skirt, which is the mini skirt part, to be. When I took this measurement on my body, I wanted it to be at 16 inches, but I'm going to be marking this at 17. I'm adding 1 inch to that so that I'll be able to use the extra 1 inch as stitching allowance. So now when adding all our body measurements, we are going to be measuring from this line here, this center front, not from the back, okay? So from the center front here on the waist, I came in by my waist measurement divided by 4, which I marked here. This skirt is going to be having a dot, so I added extra 1 inch from the point I just marked. And then from here, I'm going to add an extra 1.5 inch for my stitching allowance. Now coming to the hip, from the center, I'll mark my hip measurement divided by 4. I marked it here. Okay, note I'm taking it from the center front, and then added 1.5 inch for stitching allowance. Now for the hem, I'm just going to measure what I have on the hip and just replace it back on the hemline. So I'm going to join all the last points together to give me the shape of this skirt.
Am I really lying here with you? Baby, you take
So
me.
now this is what I have, as you can see. Now for the zipper allowance at the back, from the center front where we have our fold, I'm just marking 1.5 inch here. So I'm going to now just extend this line like this, and then just draw the line all the way to the top. So now we have cut out the front and the back of our skirts together. So the zipper allowance at the back, and then the rest part of the body is just the same thing as the front. So I'm going to go ahead now and cut out the skirt, as you can see. So now from the waist area for the zipper allowance part of the back, I'm going to go in by about 1/2 inch and just like slant it into the rest of the skirt. This is just to prevent bulging of our skirt at the back, as skirt zipper actually at the back. But if you choose not to do this, it's totally optional. So now once you're through with this, from the waist in front, I came down by 1/2 inch just to have that nice curve in front. So once you're through cutting out those two things, from the center front, I came in by my nipple to nipple measurement and I just made notches on both the front and the back. When you are taking this nipple to nipple measurement, take it from the front, not from the zipper allowance at the back. So after I was done, I went ahead to cut out lining for both the front and the back pieces, as you can see. And I'm going to just reduce the length of the lining by just about half an inch, as you can see. So just cut away just very little, half an inch from the length of the lining, so that when we are done making this skirt, the lining does not show in front at all, especially if you are using a lining color that does not fit the fabric you are working with. So with this being done now, we are going to go ahead and join the skirt with the lining. So you're going to place them right sides facing each other, and I'm going to start with the bottom part. So align the bottom part just like you see me doing like this. Go ahead and stitch here, and once you're done, now align the sides from the waist. Some part of the actual fabric is going to come up, is fine, just go ahead and align it and then stitch down the both sides. You're going to do the exact same thing for the back pieces as well. So after I was done stitching down the lining front and back, this is what I have. So you can see what is happening here. You can see the actual fabric coming up a bit, and then I went ahead to stitch down the darts at the waist area, and this is all for the front piece. The same thing goes for the back as well. You can see what I have here, and then I've gone ahead to stitch down the dart as well. So now I'm going to arrange all the pieces back again. So I'll place this right together. Okay, so I'm going to pin the excess that I have on the back pieces, which is the zipper allowance area. So I'm just going to go ahead and pin it down. You can take the front away now. So this is going to be the back. So I'm going to be fixing a zipper at the upper part, and then the bottom part is going to be stitched down. I'm going to be using a long zip. I want the zip to actually be long, so I'll just be stitching a very small portion of the bottom. So see what I've done here. So I just stitch from here to here, as you can see. So just from here to here, about 5 inches, and then the whole upper part that I've pinned down is going to be where I'll fix my zipper. I just pinned it down now first so that I can join the front and the back together without any stress. So now place the front and the back pieces together, right sides facing each other, and go ahead and pin down the sides. So I'm going to go over to the sewing machine now, and I'm going to stitch down the areas that are pinned down. On the waist, I'll use my waist measurement, and then on the hip area, I'll use my hip measurement, and then take it all the way down to the hem here. I'm done stitching it down now, and this is what I have. So basically I'm going to go ahead and work on the band. So I will remove the pins that I placed on the center back area, and I'm going to measure the waist from the zipper allowance all the way through to the other back, to the back as well, the other zipper allowance area, and that's going to be the length of my band. So what I had was about 26 inches. My actual waist is 24, remember. The extra 2 inches is definitely the zipper allowance. But I'm just going to cut this out at about 28. If there's any excess after fixing the band, I'm going to now take it off. Now, this fabric, as you can see, is in a fold. And as it's in a fold, I have 1.5 inch. Okay? Remember I told you guys that I wanted this band to just be half an inch. So that's it. I'm just going to go ahead and just trim a little bit away from it because I felt like it's a little bit too wide, and it's not going to just be exactly 1 inch by the time I'm done. So after trimming it off now, I am going to go ahead and stitch it on the waist. You can stitch it one after the other, or you can just place it right like this and stitch it all the way around. Since I have a serger, I'm just going to serge the rough edges. So guys, this is what I had after I was done stitching it down. Okay, you can see it looks actually very neat on the inside. So if I bring it closer to you guys, okay, so you can see what I had here. So see how neat it looks. It's very neat. So if you have a weaving machine, whatever it is, you know it as serger, just go ahead and use it straight. Just stitch it straight and then serge the rough edges. So now go ahead and fix my zipper to the back. After I was done fixing the zipper, I cut off the excess that I had here, and this is it. We're done making the pencil skirt. You can actually decide to wear it as it is like this, but that's not what this tutorial is about. We're going to have to make the circles that we're going to place at the bottom to get the fringe. So I have this piece of paper here, and I'm just going to try to mark the middle. I just made a point at a place I think is the middle, so just try to centralize this point. And from that point, go ahead and mark 2 inches. 2 inches is just enough, trust me. So from that point, use mark 2 inches all the way around, placing your tape exactly at that point, and then marking the 2 inches all the way around. This is going to give you a very round circle.
In your arms, and though I'm wide awake, I know my dreams are coming true. And
So
oh,
once you're done marking it out, just go ahead and cut it out. I think 2 inches is enough. If you use 3 inches, it's going to be too big. So now this is it. I'm going to have to now use this to cut out of my fabric. I'm going to cut out a lot of pieces. So I'll just fold my fabric into two. So the lining and the you're going to have two for each circle. I don't know if you guys understand. Two pieces will make one circle because you're going to be using it as lining as well. So I'm just going to pin the pattern paper on my fabric and just go ahead and cut it all the way around. I'm not going to be adding any extra stitching allowance to the pattern because this two is just enough. The way I cut it out is just enough. So by the time we stitch it in with 1/2 inch, it will now stay perfectly. So this is what I have. These two pieces that I have now will be for one, and I'm just going to continue cutting it like that. So fold your fabric in two before you start cutting. That way you just have like on the two pieces that you're going to use for one circle at once. Okay, so I'm going to continue cutting. I just folded my fabric in two and then continue to cut, and this is what I have. You have to cut out a lot of them actually. So once you're done cutting them out, you're going to pick two pieces here. I have two pieces here, and I'm going to stitch it around. So I'm going to stitch it in a way that I have a small opening to turn it to the right side. So after I was done stitching, this is what I have. So I have an opening here to turn this over to the right side. I have stitched it around, so this is the opening. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and just use my scissors to just push it through to open up on the other side. And then yeah, just make sure everything is looking nice and clean. And then you're now going to fold this area here where you turn it around in, and you're just going to go ahead and make a top stitch on the sewing machine. It's actually very easy. Just make a top stitch here and that will finish up this piece. I've already made a top stitch on this one and you can even barely see it, so this is what it should look like when you're done. So after I was done making so many different pieces, this is what I had. So I'm going to be placing them on the bottom of the skirt one after the other. So just arranging them like I'm doing here, just very close to each other, just like you see me doing like this. So these ones I have here is not even enough. I had to make way more than I have here. So first I'm going to pin these ones all the way on the areas that I've placed them. So because this is going to go all the way around the skirt, right now, I'm only pinning it to the front part. So when I'm done with the front, I will turn it over to the back and pin it down as well.
I just fall in love again. Just one touch and then it happens every time.
So now this is it. I'm going to now turn it over to the back, okay, to continue pinning. Just like you see me doing like this. It's actually very easy. But the one that is very time consuming is the making of these circles. So if, for example, you have a client who wants to make something like this, you cannot tell them that you cannot make it because there's this tutorial, but make sure that you charge them well because this circle area is actually very time consuming. So yeah, this is it. I'm done placing it all the way around the front and the back. So now this is what it looks like. So now I will add another layer. It's going to be four per line. So this is second one here. I'll pin it down. I'll place the third one here and pin it down, and then I'll place the fourth one as well. So for each line we're going to have four. There is no special way of doing it. You can decide to have three, you can decide to have more than four. It all depends on what you want, but for me I just want to follow what is on the skirt we're trying to recreate and just do it exactly the same way. So I have four for each one, and I'm going to just continue with this for all the other pieces. So to join this together on the sewing machine, I'm just going to be using a very small back and forth stitch. So you can see you place it, just sew back and forth for like 2 3 times, and that's basically it. Then you're going to push it away, push it, don't sew on it, push it to the next one, and then you're going to do some back and forth stitches again and continue like that. So after I was done with all the pieces, this is what I had. It was time consuming, So this was how I joined the pieces together one after the other. I did not place them on top of each other. I placed them very close to each other and then I stitched them down. So this is what I had. After I was done, I went ahead to also stitch the sides together. So the first two layers, the first two circles. So this one as well, I'm going to stitch them together here, the first two layers. Then the last two are going to be left free. So yeah, this is what I had after I was done. So you can see I've done the first layer. So the second layer, I'm just going to join the sides together again. And that will basically be all for this video. Thank you so much guys for watching. I'll see you guys in my next one.